Burkina Faso is again cracking down on the mining sector. This past weekend, junta leader President Ibrahim Traore stated that he would be withdrawing permits from certain foreign mining companies in a radio address delivered across the country. But what does it mean for mine operators in Burkina Faso? Let's dive in. We know how to mine our gold, and I don't understand why we're going to let multinationals come in and mine it. In fact, we're going to withdraw mining permits. Those are the words of interim leader Ibrahim Traore, broadcasted across the nation on the 2-year anniversary of the junta taking control of the country. Well, those in country rejoiced at the words without putting a lot of deep thought into it. It sent investors and mine operators into a spiral as they worked to determine who exactly the words were targeting. And the problem is, we still really don't know who specifically Traore was referring to, or if he even meant the words at all. The words, however, are not without merit. Burkina Faso in the last year has taken a number of steps that imply that they are in fact growing tired of Western multinationals stepping into the country and extracting, or at least attempting to extract, their resources. Last September, the junta revoked the permits to Serima Resources' Tankoro 2 exploration project, which had a mineral resource of 600,000 ounces of indicated gold and 1.9 million inferred ounces. The gripe, reportedly, was that the company had failed to complete a preliminary economic assessment within the prescribed timeframe, after spending 12 years of exploring the project on and off, which led to the permits not being renewed. While the company complained that the PEA was due for imminent release, the junta didn't seem to care a whole lot. 2 months later, the company had mentioned it was intending to submit claims to arbitration, but otherwise the complaint has gone nowhere. More recently, Burkina's government seized control over 2 gold mines from Endeavour Mining, although under slightly different pretexts. The Boumgo and Wagneon mines, which have now been nationalized, were originally sold to Lilium Mining for what was to be $300 million. After missed payments from Lilium, however, claims started flying that the financial position and operating capabilities of the mines had been misrepresented. A settlement was reached in August on the matter, which saw Endeavour receive total compensation of $60 million plus a 3% royalty on up to 400,000 ounces of gold sold from the Wagneon mine. For those who are still operating in Burkina, those actions aren't exactly confidence-inducing. Yet, they've been forced to tighten up their belts and put on a bold face, stating that their projects in particular aren't at risk, despite not really knowing if they are or not. So ASX-listed West African Resources, who operates the Sanbrado gold mine, which by the way is guided to produce up to 226,000 ounces of gold this year, along with 2 exploration properties in the country, these guys were one of the first to respond to the matter, saying that they weren't aware of any plans by the government of Burkina Faso to withdraw any of its mining permits. The company then put out a second statement the next day, stating that they had been in contact with the government and that the words were directed to those companies operating in violation of the laws of Burkina Faso. Canada's Orezone Gold Corp, who last year pulled in around 141,000 ounces out of the ground at its Bombor mine, was the next to respond to the statement, who mirrored the words of West African Resources, again stating it was in reference to those companies operating in violation of the laws of Burkina Faso. And then we got London-based Endeavour Mining, who still has 2 operating mines in the country and pulled out 454,000 ounces last year. They referenced their recent transaction with the government of Burkina Faso and used it to say that the government remains supportive of Endeavour's position in the country. Other operators in the country include Fortuna Silver, who operates the 117,000 ounce a year Yeromoko mine, and IM Gold, with their Essakane mine that is forecasted to produce roughly 395,000 ounces this year. Both companies made similar boilerplate comments on the matter, again relaying the reference to companies in violation of the laws of Burkina Faso. It's funny how that works. It's almost like one company hires a competent lawyer and then all the other companies' lawyers will just follow that lawyer's lead. Many of these lawyers are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in legal fees, and here their companies come to them asking for advice for some sort of original statement on what's happening so that they can tell their investors to not panic. And all these lawyers are doing is just going to what West African Resources came out and said, hey, that seems smart. Let's just copy what they did. While companies are telling shareholders that they're confident they aren't worried, investors in the junior mining space are singing a slightly different tune. Industry analyst Ben Kramer-Miller had perhaps one of the most coherent comments on the matter, warning, for those of you who are confident in Burkina Faso mining investments, given the barrage of "our permits are unaffected" PRs, a friendly reminder that Kinross's Russian operations were just fine until they weren't. The comment was in reference to Kinross Gold, who on February 23, 2022, stated that their mines in Russia were unimpacted by sanctions against the former Soviet state, which were implemented in relation to the invasion of Ukraine. A week later, it was forced to suspend its Russian operations. The company was then to sell the assets for $680 million to Highland Gold before the Russian government came in and cut that price in half just for the hell of it. Meanwhile, ex-user The Mining Bartender drew the connection to a ridiculous agreement that Russia had entered with Burkina Faso just weeks before the state suddenly decided they wanted to nationalize foreign assets. So let's wrap it up. Do I have the answers to what's going to happen in Burkina Faso? Obviously not. If I had that kind of crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be working in penny stocks. But what I do know is that this adds another layer of risk to a jurisdiction that was already fought with risk since the junta came into power 2 years ago. And in my view, mining has enough risks. Now, you want to add in one where a random warlord can just wake up one day after having a bad morning, didn't have enough coffee, and suddenly he decides to revoke your license? But then again, I'm not invested in any of these names. Now, if you go on social media, you're going to notice that people who are invested in these names are saying that everything's fine. Sure, take that viewpoint, but will I be hopping in if I see these stocks get crushed? Nope, too risky for me. Anyways, I'll leave you with this.
Burkina Faso? Disputed zone? Who called all these weird places?
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Guys, also let me know what you think in the comment section. Is my take reasonable? Are you in any Burkina Faso names? Is there a point where it gets interesting? Should you avoid the area altogether? Let me know, guys. Thanks for watching.